So you've pitched, negotiated, and finally have a term sheet in hand. But before you celebrate, are you locked in by a no-shop clause? And is your secret sauce really protected by that NDA? This is where deals can close or fall apart. I'm Corey, a startup lawyer helping entrepreneurs decode law, technology, and innovation. Welcome back to our NVCA Term Sheet Series, your go-to guide for negotiating smarter deals. In this 8th episode, we're diving into the final stretch, confidentiality agreements and no-shop clauses. These final clauses are often overlooked, but they can impact your entire deal flow. If you missed part 7, the right of first refusal, co-sale, and drag-along rights, go check out in the playlist, link below in the description. In this video, we're covering what confidentiality agreements really protect, how no-shop clauses can impact your flexibility, common pitfalls that could hurt your deal, and best practices to negotiate both effectively. So confidentiality agreements, also called NDAs. These are a legal shield for your pitch deck, projections, and your go-to-market plan. The purpose is to protect sensitive information such as intellectual property, finances, customer data, your product roadmap, etc. The scope. The NDA is going to define what's confidential and how it can be used or disclosed. So what about the duration? Usually this is 1 to 5 years, but in some cases you will see perpetual NDAs, meaning the information is constantly under protection. And sometimes you may see shorter NDAs where it's only 6 months, but those would be more of outliers. Next, we're going to have remedies. This is going to include things like injunctions or damages, also referred to as liquidated damages, if the term of the NDA is violated. So what is a no-shop clause? No-shop clauses restrict startups from seeking alternative investors after a term sheet is signed. There's typically an exclusivity period of anywhere from 30 days to 90 days, and they're typically permitted activities. These may allow passive responses to unsolicited interest from third-party investors, but no shop, as it says, will mean that you can't take that term sheet during that period of time and literally go to someone else and say, can you do a better deal than this? Next, we have termination triggers. If the deal doesn't close or both parties agree to walk away, there will be language around what that process looks like. Now, why do investors like it? It protects their due diligence work. If you think about it from an investor standpoint, they've had to do initial screenings, they may have had multiple phone calls, team discussions and visits, data room analysis, financial modeling. Internally, the investor is going to have their own potential committee that they have to approve and have the work done on all this. And they're trying to protect all that time, effort, and energy that they've gone into the deal and to keep both parties honest. And why founders should care? Well, if the no-shop provision is structured improperly, it may block better terms or other options, or effectively keep you sidelined in a hot market. So what are common pitfalls? Vague language. Broad terms like confidential or material without actual definitions around what that includes or how it will be determined or when it is determined can create hiccups. Additionally, overly restrictive terms. Clauses that limit future options or disclosure flexibility may derail later stages. And no specific remedies. If a breach happens but there's no clear consequence, then you're stuck with a piece of paper that's effectively unenforceable at worst or ambiguous at best. So what are best practices for founders and investors? You want to define terms clearly. You want to spell out what is confidential. Don't assume that it's obvious. You also want to think about realistic durations. 30 days may be enough. 90 days may be too long. You need to match to your deal timeline and the facts and circumstances of your specific situation. You also want to balance control and protection. You want to protect your strategy, but you don't want to lock yourself out of flexibility. So you can see here, it's really an art, not a science. Okay, so let's recap. NDAs or confidentiality provisions within NVCA term sheets, they can protect your edge. You need to use them smartly, but not blindly. No-shop clauses matter, especially if better opportunities arise during diligence. Clarity, balance, and timing are key to finishing your round without regrets. This is part 8 of our NVCA Term Sheet Series. Make sure to check out the full playlist to sharpen your edge before your next financing round. Join me on the path to decoding law, technology, and innovation to grow your business. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.